My God did that.
Miss Teresa.
You know the long hallway that comes from the movies outside the building. We're walking down that hallway.
Hello. Welcome to the Straight Talk with Pastor Patch podcast. I am Pastor Carlson McDuffie, a.k.a. Pastor Patch, a.k.a. Gray Patch. Today is a special day. I got my friend on the show, Pastor Jesse Wilkerson. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, bro. Good to see you this morning.
Great to see you as well. We are co-laborers, co-ministers at New Life Praise Center together. Pastor Jesse is the administrator there. He's the right-hand man of our lead pastor, Chris Akins, helps him get all of the paperwork and all of the stuff done that makes the church run, and he does an awesome, great job. And we've been serving together, maybe 7?
It's going on 7
8
years.
years, 7? Okay.
7 years. As a matter of fact, 7 years next week.
Amen. Amen. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Jesse and I, we sit on the first pew of the church together, right next to each other, just praising God together. And I don't want to. I'm already tempted to jump ahead and tell your story, but I don't want to do that. But let me just say this: it's been my privilege to watch him out of my peripheral vision when we're worshiping, to watch him jumping up and down and praising, and that's significant for a reason. But I'm gonna let him tell you that. But man, just tell us about yourself a little bit, Jesse, and you know, your marriage, your family, things you got going on right now, man.
Well, let me see. Been married 12 years since September 20th was actually our anniversary. So 12 years. Mm-hmm. We got 5 boys.
My God did that.
Man, 5 boys. 21, 16.
Give me the names.
Timothy, 21. Jaden, 16. Jalon, 14. J. Seal, 10. And Elijah, 8.
Amen.
Five of them, man.
And you just came from one of their football games this morning, right?
Yes, J. Seal.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a abnormal big 10-year-old, I guess.
Right.
Tall, real tall, lanky, about 100 pounds. So, yeah, it was a tough game, but it was good. I just like rooting them on.
5 boys. Woo! That's a lot of testosterone in that house.
Yes.
I got 3, but you beat me by 2.
And my wife would get mad if I didn't introduce the girl dog. She got that on purpose because it was all boys in there.
Right. What's the dog's name?
Rosie.
Even got the girl name, yes. Mm-hmm. the really feminine name, Rosie.
Yeah, it's all boys. But to be honest, I don't know if my wife would be able to handle a girl. That's what she says all the time. 2 of them in this house at the same time.
Uh-oh.
It wouldn't be well.
No competition for the queen spot.
Yeah.
Now you served our country.
Yes, I did. Served it for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Been pretty much, had a privilege to be all over the world because I worked at the Pentagon. Matter of fact, I was supposed to report at the Pentagon. I reported to the Pentagon a week after 9/11.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, they put it back a week. I was supposed to be there already, but when it happened, that's when they put the PCSing on hold. But yeah, 10 years, Panama, Hawaii. I've been all over Germany, served in Bosnia, peacekeeper, stuff like that.
Which branch?
Army.
Amen. Amen.
Served there. Went to school at Tennessee State, played a little football.
Okay.
But most of my life has been, my mom has had me in church since I was a kid.
Wow.
Since I was a kid. Which is strange about it is, once I left home, that's when I kind of drifted away a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like you drift away, and I'm on my own now, so I'm going to do what I want to do.
Right.
Not realizing that I was missing the opportunity and what I was supposed to be.
Right.
And my mom always told me that everything I did, she was like, that's not what you're supposed to do. I'm like, what do you mean? I mean, this is an honest job. What you mean I ain't supposed to do? I went to school. That's not what you're supposed to do. When you figure it out, when God lets you know, then you'll know.
Pause, because I see you about to already go there, but I'm just gonna say a little something real quick. The title of this show is called The Miracle Man, and my friend Jesse, who was just talking, that's who the Miracle Man is, and it's because Jesse has been through a lot of different situations. He has looked death in the face more than one time, and God has brought him through every single time. And that's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna let him say the rest. But what I want to do first and foremost is read a passage of scripture here in Matthew chapter 11, verses 1 through 6. And it reads like this. And it came to pass, when Jesus had made an end of commanding his 12 disciples, he departed thence to teach and to preach in their cities. Now, when John had heard in the prison the works of Christ, that's John the Baptist, Jesus' cousin who baptized him, in the prison, the works of Christ, he sent 2 of his disciples and said unto him, Art thou he that should come, or do we look for another? So John is in prison, and he's about to go on to be with the Lord, and he's just kind of wondering, did I point the people to the right person? Are you really the Messiah? And so that's where John is in his mind as he sits in prison. Jesus answered and said unto them, Go and show John again those things which ye do hear and see. The blind receive their sight, and the lame walk. The lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear. The dead are raised up, and the poor have the gospel preached to them. And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me. So Jesus is basically answering John's question as to if he's really the Messiah. He's telling them, look, miracles are going down. The same way the prophets preached in the Old Testament, it's happening now. It's happening through Jesus' ministry, and Jesus is telling the disciples to go tell John that's what's happening. The lame are walking, the dead are being raised, big things are happening. So that's Jesse's story. Jesse has been through a lot, and I'm gonna let him go on and tell us his testimony. So have at it, man. What was the first miracle, and go from there.
Well, the first miracle was 2011, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I was married. My oldest was in the 6th grade, I believe, in the 6th grade. And me and my wife, we were getting dressed. We were getting ready to go pick him up from school at the time. So as I was coming out into the bedroom to get dressed, man, all of a sudden, I couldn't breathe. Like, I really couldn't breathe. And I told her, I was like, babe, I can't breathe. And she was like, well, they say put your hands up to see if the air can get through your lungs. Mm-hmm. So I put my hands up and still can't breathe. I started sweating heavily, like massively heavily. And everything kind of the sound, it was like it kind of enhanced, like, but it sounded far away. Like she was standing right next to me, but she sounded like she was over on the other side of the room. Right. So as I was on the bed, she said, lay back. So I laid back. And once I laid back, it just went black from there. I didn't know what was going on. She didn't know what's going on. And I can hear her yelling my name, but she sound very far away. Like, Jesse, wake up. And next thing I know is when I opened my eyes, I had lights and emergency, the firemen and everybody else in front of my face asking me what's going on, and I can't speak because I can't breathe. So they put this mask over my face to allow the oxygen to go in. and they run me to the hospital. They give me a nitro pill first because they thought I was having a heart attack. But they run me to the hospital, and immediately, like, they're rushing me in. And first thing they do is they run me straight to the CT. And, like, I can hear a little bit, but it sounds far away. I can hear doctors saying, oh, man, this is bad. This is bad. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? So they come in, and they tell my wife, and then she starts calling all of my family, telling them to come see me because this might be it. Wow. I'm like, what in the world is going on?
You can hear it, but you can't say nothing.
Yeah, what in the world is going on? So the doctor finally comes in, and I still had a mask on, so I can't say nothing because I can't breathe really. And he tells me that I have a pulmonary embolism, is a PE, a blood clot, which covers from one side of the lungs to the other side of the lungs.
Wow. He
said it's so huge. And he said, you just completely shut down. Your body shut down. We don't know if you're going to make it. And I'm like, what? So I'm thinking, all my kids, my sister, all my family, my mom at the time, she's in a whole nother state. So everybody's calling my wife and seeing what's going on. My sister came in, my kids came in, and I literally thought that was going to be the last time I saw them. Wow. So they put me in ICU, and they left me there overnight. So I'm there overnight a couple of days, not saying nothing. My wife is still there, but she's not saying much. Maybe about 2 or 3 days, and then like the fourth day, they came in and said, and they took the mask off. And I was like, hey, I can breathe a little bit. And she came in and said, we're moving you. I said, huh? She said, yeah, I don't know what's going on, but your blood clot is dissolving. I'm like, so that means I'm still going to be here then. I'm assuming. Right. So, yeah, they moved me to a regular room, and this is when I'm ever to see everybody. And my wife told me she thought she lost because she was yelling, and my eyes went to the back of my head. Everybody's telling the story. Then the hospital I was in, which is in Virginia, they have all the residents and all that stuff. And the military doctors practice there as well, internships. So they had this whole group of doctors come in, and they wanted to see who I was and just look at the case. And they were like, you're like a miracle story. So everybody, you know how people come into your room and they're just like happy and they, hey, you're blessed to be here. You're lucky to be here. And I'm like, wow. At the time, you know, I didn't really think nothing of it because it's been a while and nothing like that happened to me. I was just happy. But my oxygen still wasn't right. So they had this, about a week later, they sent me home with oxygen and all this other stuff. But I say a couple of weeks, I overcame it. You know, I was blessed. I wasn't supposed to be there, and they told me. So I had ran all these tests and stuff. They told me to run this test. They said, if something like this happens to you again, you're not going to make it. That's going to be it. Yeah. They was like, your heart can't handle that more than once. Right. So we go to 2012, the next year. 2012. I remember this vividly. We were staying with our parents because we were getting ready to get moved down to Georgia. Right. We were staying with our parents though. Her parents, her in-laws, and I had went to bed. I had a while ago. I had knee surgery, so I had went to bed. I was tired from physical therapy and all that stuff. And I remember Elijah was just a baby. He was just born not too long. He might have been about 4 months old, maybe. And so I laid down, and then JCL came and laid in the bed with me, and he was talking to me. I can't remember what he was saying, but he laid next to me and went to sleep. Man, the next thing I know, wake up in the middle of the night. My dad, I can hear him calling me, but I thought I was dreaming because it sounded far away again. He was like, Jesse, Jesse, Jesse. And I tried to open my eyes. So the little bit I can open my eyes, he was right in front of my face again. And I'm thinking, and I'm on the floor. So I'm like, how in the world did I get on the floor? In my head, I'm thinking this. And he's yelling. Next thing you know, ambulance come again. I have this, I get to the emergency room. Immediately run a test again. Came back, sir, your body completely shut down. Your body was shut down for 3 minutes. I was like, what? Yes. So they said you have
now when they say shut down, what do you mean? Like
stop everything,
nothing,
stop nothing,
heartbeat,
all that. That's how I end up. And I guess you know how they said when you die, your body makes that reaction move. Sometimes your body, and that's how I got on the floor because I didn't know how I got on the floor. So they was like a knee jerk. I had a scar, so they put a mask over me. And as soon as they put the mask over me to help me breathe, automatically start throwing up. And I'm like, oh. So they came back in. They was like, yeah, you have a massive blood clot across your lungs again. I'm like, again? How in the world is this happening to me? And why is this happening to me? At this time, look, I'm not always like, I've been going to church, but I wasn't always back in church like I was supposed to be. So I'm thinking. And
the doctor had just told you a year earlier, if this happened again, you gone.
I'm done. But I tell you, they put me back in that ICU again, and there a couple of days. And after that, they pulled me out. Then the church I'm going to, I was real close with the pastor. It seems like I'm always close with pastors. Like every church I've been to, I've worked closely with a pastor, right. Even as a kid. When I was a kid, I was a junior deacon and worked with the pastor. Right. College went with a pastor, but he comes in and he started talking to me, and he was like, Pastor Gibson, I remember he said, God is not finished with you yet. I'm like, okay. Right. And he comes in and he prays and he leaves, and he's coming in. My mom calling me, crying on the phone. She was like, my children are not supposed to pass away before I am. She says, you need to get yourself together. So they run all this tests and they trying to figure out what's going on with me, why this keep happening to me. Right. So the tests finally come back, and it finally comes back that I have lupus coagulant, which is a rare blood disease that my blood thickens at an abnormal rate. Like I had to take Coumadin for the rest of my life now. If my blood levels are supposed to be between 2.5 and 3.5, which makes it thin enough so that I can actually flow through what I'm doing. So that's what I was. If it's at 0, then it's 2. That's bad for me. Right. I automatically start getting blood clots. Right. Which is, I ain't never heard of nothing like this before. It's the first time ever. I've never been hurt, never been sick. I served all those years in the military and nothing happened to me. Bullets flying at me, no, I just couldn't believe it. So finally, we moved out of there, and after a while, and so we wasn't going to be able to move like we wanted to, so we waited for a while. Then 2013, we finally got down here, got our son in school, started working. Matter of fact, the first weekend that we got here, we said we weren't going to look for no churches. We were going to wait because, man, I was like, Tavada, there's a church on every corner here. How are we going to find a church? She said, we just going to have to visit and make sure it's the right one. But we got there Thursday. Sunday morning, my wife woke up after in prayer and said, I don't know how she got it, she said, but she said in her dream, she kept hearing New Life Praise Center. She said, so she Googled it and found out there was 2 here. So she said, something in my spirit tells us we need to go. So we went, but we pulled up to the wrong one the first time. Right. And I was like, you sure this the church? I said, it don't look like it. She said, let me look at it again. She was like, wrong address. So we come back and find New Life. Come to think, it's 5 minutes around the corner from my house. We down the street from New Life. I'm like, wow. So we go in, and that was our first time. And Pastor Chris was preaching, and he stopped, and he said, I don't usually do this, but I got to stop right now. God just told me it's somebody here that is going to help me in my ministry and help us move forward for the rest of our lives.
Wow.
And we were asking them, like, does he ever do that
before? No, he never does that.
He never does that.
Not like that.
And that's when I seen Pastor Ben and you guys came, everybody spoke. And then we went out in the car, and we were like, and I think Tim heard a song that he played at the old church. And I was like, I think this is it. We got to pray about it. I think this is the church we're supposed to be at. We prayed about it. We all our family came back together, and I said, yeah, same thing. And that's how I got at New Life. It's amazing how God put you in the place you're supposed to be as long as you're listening to him.
Yeah, because I was going to say, y'all had just said we're going to wait and choose a church on your own, in your own thinking or whatever. But hey, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Yeah. You always got to be open to him no matter what.
That's right.
According to the plan. But then in, I think it was 2014, I had bad, my hips were bad. I can't forget what they call it, but I had a real bad hip. He said that the part that goes in the joint, mine was shaped like an egg and it was supposed to be round, you know. So that's why my hip keeps, when I walk it, they click, 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 click. So went to this doctor. And he was like, look, I can do it. You're going to need a hip replacement, whether you get it in a couple of months or now. So, you know, I talked to my wife, okay, fine. We go ahead and do and get this over with. He said, you'll be brand new, just like brand new, like you won't even be able to tell. He said, it's about a 2-hour surgery. He said, I'll have you in and out. You should be walking in the next 2 days after the surgery. You'll get up and do therapy. I was like, okay, fine. So I'm not going to be down long. At this time, before I had the surgery, I had just, because I wasn't doing nothing, you know, basically disability retirement from the military. I was like, I had just went to Pastor Chris and look, if you need some help in your office, I can help you as an administrator. I said, I did all that for the military. I work for generals and all this other stuff. If you need some help, I can help you. And that's when he came back. He was like, yeah, definitely. And I think y'all had a leadership meeting. And that's when he called me in and said, Jesse's going to be my administrator for now. No, make sure you go through him.
Right.
So we go to the surgery that day. Pastor Ben picks up my oldest son, Tim, the youth pastor. And he takes him. Tavada takes me to the hospital. We walk in at 12 noon. It's daylight. 12 noon. I'm thinking I'm going to be out by maybe 2, as he says. And already my wife had this feeling that it was like, because with the doctor, she was like, because I had this blood disorder, I had to stop it. So she was like, shouldn't you have extra blood on hand? Some of this extra blood on hand just in case, or just in case he needs a blood transfusion. And the doctor was like, why? Why do I need that? I don't need that. He'll be fine. And my wife was like, no, I don't think he'll be fine. Can you just do that? He said, fine, I'll do it. So we go in surgery. I'm under. I don't wake up till 10 o'clock that night.
Wow. From, would you say 2 o'clock?
Yeah, from 12.
12, wow.
From 12 to 10, that's when I wake up. And I'm like, I'm looking and I'm like, why is it dark? And they had this mask on my face so I could breathe again with the mask. And my wife was like, calm down. Are you listening? I said, yeah, I'm listening. And I'm shaking my head, yeah, to her. She said, well, they had some complications during the surgery. I'm like, what do you mean complications? She was like, as the doctor was replacing your hip, he cracks your femur.
He cracks your femur.
I was like, what do you mean crack femur? She was like, that long bone right there. I was like, wow. What? And he said, then he didn't have the tools to fix it. So they had to leave you on the taping. Yes. They had to wait for them to bring some supplies from another hospital. They had to leave me on the table. So that's why I was under so long. So they left me on the table till the tools got there under.
So at first he was fussing with Tabata, like, why do I need extra blood?
Yes.
He don't even have the tools. Anyway.
Left me on the table. So that's what happened with that. So the next couple of days I'm in there and he's saying, you know, physical therapy comes in. You know, like, I need you to get up and walk. And I was like, I can't walk. Why? You just had a hip replacement. You're supposed to be able to walk. I said, I can't walk. I'm not supposed to put pressure on this leg at all because he cracked the femur. Yeah, usually you do that, but mine is abnormal. So it's not. So, because they had me in, you know what? I was in ICU there too. Me and ICU seem to have a thing. So we go through all that. I remember all you guys coming and people seeing me in the hospital, but I finally go home. I go home in maybe 2 weeks. So I'm home for a week. I'm doing physical therapy. The guy's coming to my home. Right. He said, I'm doing well. So we get to this one exercise. And it's like I'm laying on a bed, and he's saying, I'm supposed to raise my leg, both legs. I do one side. I can do the right side fine. And he says, do the other one. But I can't lift the leg. He said, come on now, lift the leg. I'm like, I'm telling you, I can't lift the leg. I'm for real. So he's like, so he lifts the leg. All right, then just hold it up. He lifts it, it drops. I can't hold it up. And he was like, She was like, let me look at these notes he sent me. He said, something ain't right. He said, you need to go back to him. So we're like, yeah. So we tell the doctor what he said. I go to the doctor. He takes the stitches out. And I'm trying to explain to him that I can't lift my leg, but he's not listening to me. He was like, oh, you're fine. You'll be okay. It takes time. So I'm like, okay. This is when he took the staples out of my leg already. So that's another week. So the second week I'm home, it's like the end of September, I think. Around this time, matter of fact. Second week I'm home, my leg starts to swell, like this whole side. Because the scar comes from the top of my hip all the way down to my knee. And it starts to swell. And Tavada's like, that thing feels a little warm. I think you have an infection. I was like, nah, I'm all right. You know, it's da-da-da. A couple of days. So I think like a Monday morning, I wake up I get up at 4. I couldn't sleep the whole night. I can't lay in the bed, so I have to sleep in a chair. And I have to sleep with my legs up because the pain was so excruciating. So I'm like, I told her, I was like, I don't feel right. She said, you sure? I said, I'm telling you, I need to go to the hospital. She takes me to the hospital. They wheel me in. They take me to the emergency room. They pull me in right away. Start doing x-rays again. This x-ray and CT thing, x-rays. And I can hear the nurses and doctors talking. Wow, he really messed him up. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He messed me up. They really messed him up.
You hear this, but you can't respond.
Yeah, it's like, doctors and nurses, you can hear them, and they're taking a picture, and they're telling me, and the one comes back and say, well, I'm here to tell you, your leg is infected. I was like, oh. Your leg is infected, and you have blood clots in your legs.
Wow.
I'm like, wow. It's got to get better than this.
Wow.
So they tell me that, and then Tavada, the doctor that actually did the surgery, he comes in fussing. Why you ain't called me first? I would have just gave him this and gave him that. He could have just been on blood thinners at home or a Lovenox shot. And I'm like, I don't want to be on a shot. And because I can't stand Lovenox shots or something, I have to stick in my stomach. And they leave very bad bruises on me. He was like, I could have just gave him that at home. But the other doctor was like, no, he has an infection in his leg. So I'm back in the hospital. I'm there for maybe another week or so. And Tavada and this doctor just keep going back and forth. After a while, I guess he just gets tired. She says, you know what? I need to see somebody at head hospital right now because I'm tired of trying to explain it to him. Because he doesn't think still nothing is wrong with me. He's thinking it's fine. I'm like, okay. He was like, I do 100 patients every day. I'm telling you, you fine. I'm the doctor. Listen to what I'm telling you. This is what he's telling her. So we finally get the head of the hospital. And Tavada's like, I just want a whole new doctor. Can we get somebody else? And he was like, I'm sorry how he's acting. We'll just get you the chief surgeon of the hospital. So the chief surgeon comes in on his day off. So I'm like, if he comes in on his day off, this must be bad. He comes in, he always comes to me, and you know the first thing he does? He lifts the leg and tells me to hold it up. And I can't hold it up. As soon as he did that, and I told him, he said, you can't lift it either? I was like, no. He walks out the room. I'm like, this can't be good. He walking out the room after he did that. He came back. He said, did he do this when you first got out, when he first finished with you? I was like, no, he never did that test. I said, I tried to tell him that I couldn't lift the leg, but he kept saying I was all right. So he goes back again. At this time, I guess the chief, I don't know what you call him, at the hospital, they're coming to apologize to my wife. I mean, I'm getting the all-star treatment at this time. Right. And he comes back in, and the chief surgeon, he's like, I'm going to be taking over your case. I'm like, okay. So after a while, I get out of the hospital. You know, I'm still on crutches and still in a wheelchair and still can't put pressure on it. So he sends me to this place to get a nerve test done. He's like, I need you to go here and see this doctor. I'm like, he said, just do it. I said, but my insurance... He said, don't worry about it. Everything is already taken care of. So I go see this nerve testing guy where they have this needle and they stick them inside your legs to test your nerves. So He's testing, doing all my muscles and my nerves are jumping like they're supposed to. Then he gets over here to this left side, to the inside of this left leg where I had the hip surgery, and he's getting nothing. And I can see it in his face. He's getting frustrated, so he's pushing harder. Maybe I can get something out of it, And I'm like, hey, man, this is hurting. He's like, one more time. I'm going to try one more time. So he tried one more time, and he got nothing. So finally, a couple of days, the test came back to the doctor, and he came to me, and he was like, I got some bad news for you. You want the good news or the bad news? I was like, just give me the bad. He said, the bad news is that femoral nerve of yours is not working. The good news is, he said, I don't know if he severed it or he stretched it. If he stretched it, that means it'll be back in maybe a month or two. I'm like, okay. He said, but I don't know. He said, until then, you're going to have to be on crutches and in a wheelchair until that happens. I'm like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. I said, I can't believe this. At this time, I'm all the way loose, done. I'm just done for, matter of fact, I think my wife was getting ready to have a women's conference. When I tell you I did not want to go to church or go anywhere.
Because they basically, if you severed it, they were basically saying you weren't going to walk again.
Yeah.
But he didn't know if you had severed it yet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was like, I'm done. I can't do this. And then kept going through therapy. Like, I did therapy for 3 months. Then finally, I was the dude, look, man, I can't, these crutches in this wheelchair, that means somebody has to be with me at all times. I can't do this.
Wow.
He was like, this prosthetic place. In the prosthetic place, they put this cast on my whole leg, and it comes from my hip all the way to the tips of my toes. And he says, if this works, then you'll just be able to swing your hip. You can walk with that prosthetic leg on, half leg on you in the cane. I'm like, cool. At this time, I'm like elated. I'm like, okay, we can do this then. And so he gets it. Finally, I got the daggone leg for my birthday weekend. I was so happy because I was able to just get up and put 2 pair of shoes on.
Right.
But the key to that is I had to get bigger shoes because the prosthetic didn't fit in my regular size shoes. So I got it. I remember the first day I got it, man, my leg hurt so bad because I hadn't walked in so long. So I'm thinking it's only going to be a month or so I got to do this. He said if he stretched it, it'll be back right away. So to make a long story short.
How long had it been since you walked?
What was that, September? That was January.
Okay.
January. That was about, 4 months,
right.
Maybe 4 months. Long story short, I started walking with that thing in the cane. It came back. That it wasn't stretched apparently because, that 2 months, that 3 months were up.
Right.
So apparently what he came back with when we went to see him again is he said when he was repairing your femur and trying to put these, I guess, whatever he put around him, he kind of, in cutting, he accidentally severed your femoral nerve. And he was like, at that point, I was really done. He was like, I don't know what else to tell you, but we can keep trying, but you'll probably never walk again. Not without the prosthetic leg and the cane. And he said, look, I know a good lawyer if you need a lawyer. Man, I don't want no lawyer. I want my leg back. I want to walk the same way I walked in with both of them easily. So we went through all that. Like after a while, years, still frustrated, trying to understand why this is going on, depressed. Man, I got so depressed and I started to seclude myself, isolate myself. I ain't want to do nothing. Yeah. It was real bad. I was still going to church.
Yeah, I remember, but you weren't saying much.
I wasn't saying, and I wasn't there. Like I was there, but I wasn't there spiritually or mentally.
Right.
Like I was just there. I didn't want to do nothing. I was still trying to help Pastor Chris, but I was just upset. Yeah. So many things going on. So to bring us further, 2 years went past. I'm still in it. Yeah. Still got the cane. And he said, let's go get another nerve test, maybe. Because, after 2 years, they say nerves grow back. Right. So I go get the nerve test to see if the nerve grew back. Pastor Chris actually takes me to the test. So he takes me. I go in there. They start doing the test. I don't know if it came back or not because I can't feel nothing in this leg anyway. The whole leg is numb, and it's still numb,
Wow.
which is crazy, but still numb. So I go in to see the doctor. Nice lady. She said, "I'm sorry to tell you, there's nothing. We're getting nothing from that left side at all." She said, "The only thing I can tell you now, the only way you'll be able to walk again is a miracle if God heals you." And that's what she left me with when I walked out. I was like deeply upset then. I was like 2 years, no nerve grow back, no nothing. So at that point, I was so angry. I actually had to go get my wife had to take me to see Pastor Chris for a little counseling. At that point, I was ready to get a gun and shoot the doctor. That's how angry I was at him. You know, it's amazing how you entrust somebody with your life and they just mess things up for you and then don't want to own up to it. I think that's what hurt me more.
Right.
Like he didn't want to own up to his mistake.
Right.
I would have probably been fine if he said, okay, it was a mistake. I owned up to it, but he never owned up to it.
Right.
So he sat me down and talked. And he was like, look, you're going to have to sit a blank chair in front of you. I like this. He told me you're going to have to sit a blank chair in front of you and pretend it's that doctor. And you're going to have to tell him that you forgive him.
Chris told you this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. Okay, so I do that. Then you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and press forward. Because in my mind, I'm already wrapping my mind, I'm going to be like this. But at the whole time, I'm thinking this is going to be my life. My oldest boy, Timothy, and my wife kept telling me, I'm going to walk again. They keep saying, I'm having dreams.
Amen.
We're going to be walking down the street again, I'm telling you.
Amen.
And I'm like, okay, whatever. That's my thought. I said, y'all ain't going through this. And they always ask me what's wrong. I said, look, man, I just don't want to be bothered right now.
And let me just interject this real quick. That's why it's so important to have people of faith who actually speak life around you, bro. Because like you said, you were in a place where you didn't want to hear nothing. You flirting with crazy thoughts. You angry, justifiably so. But your wife and your son are like, you are gonna. I love that they're telling you what's gonna happen. Anyway, keep going.
I'm telling you, yeah. Then had my pastors around me, the godly men. Pastor Ben always energetic. He said, "Man, I can't wait till we play basketball again." Pastor Kevin, man, we gonna throw that cane away one day. I'm telling you, Matt, we gonna throw that stuff away. I'm telling you. I'm like, okay. Y'all kept telling me. I'm like, I hear y'all talking, but it's like. And it reminds me, we read these stories about Paul and all of them. And I just caught myself doing that. We read and we think they're superheroes. Yeah. But they're not superheroes.
That's right.
They're just regular men. God is the actual superhero that works through you. And if we start to believe that and read it like it's supposed to be, then we'll understand even more. So I was just like, I'm a press. So I started to get more close, more understanding. And I was going through the ministry school at the time because I was like, what is my whole life somebody told me I was supposed to be a pastor. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it at all. It happened one time. Me and my wife went to a conference because I told them, I said, it's going to have to be somebody. Because when people tell you that know you, you like, okay, y'all just saying that because y'all know me. Right. I said, it's going to have to be somebody I ain't never known, never met. Gonna have to tell me this. So we went to a conference in Alabama.
God ain't no joke.
No joke. We went to a conference in Alabama, and I'm there, and my wife, she like front row. I'm always on the front row. We sitting on the front row, and I stand up, and I see it. You know how something get ready to happen. Right. I see him get the pastor. He gets up and he walks across the stage, the back. And I know exactly who he's coming to. I said, watch this dude stop in front of me. All these people, because they doing testimonies, they prophesying. He stands right in front of me. He prays for a second. He steps back. Then he prays again. And he said, God has literally had to come fight for your life 3 times. Now, I just told you. He said that. Yeah, 3 times. I'm like, who told this dude what's going on with me? He said literally 3 times. He had to come and fight for your life. I'm here to tell you that he said he's got you. I'm like, okay. So I thought that was it, because, most people see the cane and leg and they want to pray for you. And then he steps back again, and I thought he was going to walk away, and he stepped back. He said, oh, and you're supposed to be a pastor. And I'm like, oh. At that point in my life, I said, you know what? That's it. I'm done.
Right.
That's you got it, God. That's the last word I'm gonna do on that. And that's when I think I came back and I told Pastor Chris, he was like, I knew it the whole time. I was just waiting on you. I said, why you didn't tell me? He said, because it has to be you. Right. You have to hear it. I'm like, okay. So, I'm going through New Life School of Ministry, and we're doing the Bible college thing to get the other degrees. I'm like, okay, go through all that. Still going on, still walking with the leg. And then it comes around, I think, 2017. In the beginning of that year. That was a real rough year for me. I'm doing, I'm moving. I'm happy for the Lord. My wife gets a call from my sister and said that my dad is in the hospital and that he probably won't make it for another few days. Mm-hmm. And me and my dad, we really never had a relationship. I met him one time, but just the simple fact that he asked to see me was enough for me. So before we go up there, I think you guys prayed for us. Mm-hmm. You and Pastor Ben and Pastor Chris, I think I remember. I go up there. So I go see him. He's in the hospital. Very, very not really conscious, but conscious. So I walk in. And when he rolls over, his eyes open up big, like he's surprised to see me. Mm. So we begin to, have a little converse. And I tell him I forgive him for everything. I'm not mad. I understand. I just want to move forward and pray for you. And that'd be it. So that's what we do. And I pray for him. And it was like a weight that was lifted off my shoulders. Right. So we come back the next day. 2 days later, my sister called and says he passed. Wow. The day after I left. Wow. And Tavada was like, I think he was just waiting on you. He knew he was going to pass. And he just wanted to wait to hear from you. And you telling him that you forgave him, kind of, he was at ease then. So we go to that funeral. And as they're talking about my dad, it's almost like I never knew him, but we lived the same life story, like the same things. In the military, did the same thing as me, on the Korean War, all in with football.
Went through that with my dad. You learn stuff until they die. Uh-huh.
The dressing and everything, and everybody can say, boy, if you don't look just like your dad. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I guess. And you act just like him. I was like, okay, the mannerisms and everything. When I met his pastor, he was a deacon at his church. So it was interesting. Right. And then we come back. Everything's going fine. I'm going to try to speed this story up a little bit. Everything's going fine. And then my dad passed in March. We're in March. My dad passed in January. We're in March. I get another call. They called me and told me about my mother. Mm. They was like, they don't think she's going to make it. She has cancer, stage 4. Mm. I'm like... And at this point I was like, with this leg and I can't walk, and if you take my mom, God, I don't know if I can handle this, because I was supposed to get ordained that same year in May. She was supposed to be there, but they called me in March, so I have to drive up to where she's up north of Pennsylvania. We drive 17 hours. We get there and we're talking and we're conversing. And my mom, when I tell you, they call her Reverend Hun. Mm-hmm. And everybody that comes in the room, she gonna tell you about the Lord. That's just how my mom is. Right. She wants everybody to have that gift, that free gift. So we're talking and I'm reading her favorite passages, which is one of them is Psalms 91. Mm-hmm. And the doctor pulls us out and said, it's nothing else we can do for her at this time. At this time, we can just, try to make her pain at ease. And so everybody's standing out there like, who gonna tell her? I was like, I'll do it. So I go in and tell her, and we're talking. She said, I already know. Mm. She said, it's okay though. You gonna be okay. I was like, you got it better than I got it. And as they were walking through I guess the chaplain came to see her, and when the chaplain came in, she said, this is my pastor, and she was pointing to me. Mm. And I was like, boy, so that just took that just took my whole breath away right then. So we see her, and then we go back. She's still in the hospital. They said they're going to do hospice at home and all that. So we come back. I get back, not a day or 2 days go by. My sister calls me and says she passes that morning. Mm-hmm. And in my whole entire head, I'm like, okay, God, what am I supposed to do now? Because this is all I have. This is who I talk to every day. This is my mom.
I feel you.
Every day, all day. This is the only person that's encouraged me in everything I've been through.
Oh, I feel you.
I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? I got this leg. I can't walk. And I said, and then she didn't even get to see the ordination. I said, I'm just done. So we go, funeral. I speak. Did pretty good. I held myself up, I think, but to see her glow at the end, because it was like I seen her one day, she was talking, the next day she couldn't even talk. To see her like that, but I could see the glow, but I was at peace with it because she was at peace.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just know where she is. I know. She fought a good fight. She did what she did. She knew what she's supposed to do. And so we had that funeral, and all my brothers and sisters. I have one older brother that's a pastor as well, but everybody says I was supposed to be the pastor because I started as a child. I'm the one that got my mom started going to church.
Boy, all right, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Well, keep going.
So, once I got her, then it was like, It was like, I went one time and I was like, man, I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
I like church.
Yeah.
So Ben Weston, my other pastor, and they was like, well, y'all supposed to keep the family together. Me and my brother. So, go. And then after my mom dies, then we had a lawsuit going, but the lawyer that we had said he didn't want to take the case because he wasn't for sure that he actually severed the nerve. I'm like, bruh, I'm not walking. What more do you need?
Yeah.
He was like, I just don't feel comfortable doing it, so he dropped it. So we couldn't find a lawyer at that hand. No lawyer wanted to take it because it was so late. So I'm like, oh, man. So at this point in my mind, I ain't going to get in a lawsuit. I can't walk, and I lost my mom. I was just like, this was May, and it was just going crazy. And I didn't know what to do. I told Pastor Chris, I said, man, at this point, I said, maybe I need to take a leave of absence or something. He was like, nah. So May, my son was graduating. All my family came down. That's when I got the ordination. Cool. I thought everything, then it just seemed like everything just started going on in my mind. Like, why is this happening to me? Why can't I couldn't focus. This walking and this leg was like really eating at me. And then one day, I told God, matter of fact, I might have heard you, perfect peace. That was it, Isaiah 23:6. I remember you getting up there saying that one time. I said, okay, this is what I need to do.
Yeah, you've told me that before, and it seemed like after that, I think I remember you telling me that God showed you that you had to let go of all the anger.
Yeah, I had to let it go and just focus on Him. So I pushed in. I was in school. We were doing well. Everything was fine. I accepted who I am and what I was. That's the problem with a lot of people. We don't accept who we are.
Come on.
I accept who I was in God and what I was, even if I had
leg or not.
So I was like, okay, press mark. We going. I think it was same year, October. And Pastor Chris, he was going for his anniversary. And he was like, I want you to preach on Wednesday. I said, you want me to get up there? I said, Pastor Chris, I can't hold a mic and walk with a cane at the same time. He said, he was like, you'll figure it out. I was like, what? He said, I'm telling you, Lord, the Lord just put it on my heart. You're supposed to speak. So, and one of my favorite verses, God bless I had was, let's cross over to the other side. Mm-hmm. And I had that. I've been writing it and trying to perfect it. So I got up there and preached that day. I remember that Wednesday. I was sweating bullets, trying to walk with the cane. I think I threw the cane down and was just walking with the leg at the time.
Yep.
And I was like, everybody was like, and Deacon Marcus, a good friend of mine, passed away. He bought me a towel. He was like, man, I think you came. Oh, man, that was really good. I was like, I don't know. And then that day, that was funny because you asked for a ride home. So me and my dad, I think, gave you a ride home that day. So we gave you a ride home. And I ran on the way back. Got pulled over from the cops. Man, got pulled over. He asked me, was my car my car?
Right.
And I kept asking, what do you mean? is this your car? I'm like, yes. He said, we had a lot of robberies in the neighborhood and thefts. I said, okay, what that got to do with me?
Right.
I said, this is my car. Don't you see the title and the name? My car. I didn't get upset or anything. I just let him know. So after a while, because first I thought I was speeding, because I asked my dad, I said, was I speeding? He was like, nah. So they just let us go. I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna worry about it. Didn't get angry, didn't get mad or anything. And I think that was one of my turning points.
Yes.
Right there, because a lot of times, when you get ready to come close to a door that you're supposed to walk through, he'll test you and see what's going on.
And if I could just interject real quick and say that what you're saying, that's so true. Like, you have been going through all of this stuff, losing people, the leg, all that, and it's just you're in this state of confusion. You're trying to figure it all out. You've always been a kind of orderly dude, and you military, all that. You like the plan. Nothing was going according to plan, so you were just super frustrated at what the heck is going on. And a lot of times it's like the breakthrough is not even about the particulars. It's just about, are we going to let go and let God show us what he's doing, or going to keep on trying to hold on to it and stay frustrated? And a lot of times, man, that probably is for somebody. Like, a lot of times the breakthrough of whatever you're dealing with, they might not be dealing with leg and thinking about not being able to use a limb or whatever, or losing people or anything like that. But you might you're going through something, and the breakthrough is not even about the situation. It's about you letting go of control. I just wanted to interject that, because I knew you've told me that more than once.
Yes, definitely control, because a lot of times we think we can control the situation where we really can't.
Right.
Not to a point, because you'll mess it up anyway.
Right.
And sometimes I think he tests us to make sure that we're all the way in with him, because I'm sure I could have he could have healed me beforehand, or it's already been there, but it was up to me. A lot of times it's up to me. The healing was already done, matter of fact. But it was up to me and what I needed to do and believe. And a lot of times we do those things and we don't believe. Like I said, I equate my story to Mephibosheth. You know what I mean? Even though David bought him out and set him at the king's table and gave him all the free gifts and all the stuff he had, he still wasn't free. He was delivered, but he wasn't free. In his mind, he still thought, well, I'm still a dog. I still don't need to be at this table. I don't deserve that. And that's the same way I felt. Yeah, I got this leg and all this, but I don't deserve that.
Yeah.
Why? I wasn't, interjecting who I need to interject on and focus on. But matter of fact, after I preached that night when I got you home, I told my wife, I told my wife and God at the same time, God, if you want me to preach your word, you're going to have to do something about this leg and this cane. That's exactly how I said it. She's like, come on with it, prophesy. I'm just saying, I can't be walking up here with this cane and this microphone and preaching your word at the same time. So I remember, I think you weren't there that Sunday. We had an intercession or something. Okay. And they prayed. I went home like normal. It was a Sunday. It was maybe a week. Matter of fact, it was week after his anniversary. Okay. He came back that Sunday. That Sunday after that Wednesday, I preached. Yeah, I think you wasn't there that Sunday. Mm-hmm. Nothing normal, Went and sat in the house. My home, sitting down. We were over our parents. We went and ate, and then we went home. Had the leg on, put the brace on, walking like everything home. Man, I get home that night. We got home about 11 o'clock at night. I get home that night, and Tavata's on the phone with somebody. I don't know who. I think she talked to her parents. So I'm like, okay, so I'm taking my usual routine. I'm taking my leg off, took it off, and set it there. And I don't know how it just came across my mind. Let me try and see if I can move this leg. Yep. It just came. So as I did like this, I sat on the edge of the bed and I lift my leg up. So if anybody knows, I could never lift my leg up. So I'm lifting my leg up. I said, it must be the bed. In my mind, it got to be the bed. This ain't happening. So I lay back and I lift my leg up. And I'm calling my wife, Tawada, babe. She's like, what, babe. So she ain't paying me the mind. She's still on the phone. I said, you know what? Okay. So I'm moving my leg. I lift it up on the bed. We're going to try one more thing. Let's try to walk. So I stand up by the dresser. I hold on to the dresser. And then I took a step. And the leg moved by itself without the thing on. I'm like, so I just started walking slowly, like with a limp, like it looked like a Jacob experience. You know how you limp with the hip. Yeah. As I'm walking, I guess she could see me out the peripheral of her eye, the corner of her eye. Babe, she's like, oh my God. And she's like, I gotta call you back. She starts filming. So I get to the doorway.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay. She's like, see if you can walk down the hallway. So I said, okay. Got a t-shirt on, half dressed, walking down the hallway, man. I'm walking down the hallway and I'm like, and it's like tears in my eyes. I'm like, I can't believe this. They told me I would never walk again unless God healed me. Like, I'm just so excited. She calling everybody, Pastor Chris, Pastor Ben. Oh my God, he's walking. He's walking. Showing video. I'm like, okay. And it was almost like a dream. Like you see people go through miracles, right? And you see things happen, you know, like you see movies. You see all those movies, but the point is you never think it can happen to you. Right. And I think that's the problem is we never think God can do for us what he's done for somebody else. Right. We always kind of had that doubt. At that point, man, I'm like on high. Go to bed the next day, wake up the next morning, going into the office of Pastor Chris. Mm-hmm. Don't got no brace. I'm like, I'm just going to go bold and walk all together. My leg wasn't even that strong, but, you know, I said, you know what, I don't need that brace no more. I walk in, and he says, come in my office, let me see you. I'm walking, he said, oh, my God, look at God. I'm telling you, praise God. I'm telling you. And everybody's like, I'm like, yes, this is just, whew.
Then not too much long after that, we did the men's ministry what was it, like a little get together I put together, and you were remember you said Ben said, man, I can't wait till we play basketball together, and we actually were shooting around
basketball there. Yeah, I was like, look,
I got some video of that.
Yeah.
I told him his new assignment is every day at lunch. He's out here for an hour shooting.
Y'all looking at a miracle right here.
Well, maybe not with that shot, but hey.
Mr. Never. Doctor said he'd never walk again.
There
it is. There it is. Never walk again. Says who? Says who? There you go. There you go. There you go. Getting his rhythm back. He's feeling it. He's getting his rhythm back. Boom. There it is. The miracle is real.
that's all.
It's the hot V.
I said, I'm shooting the basketball. He said, well, praise Jesus. He said, I told you. He said, before that, you're going to be running and jumping up and down.
Man, I know you've been going for a while, but I really want to get this last part in here. So, and I know you can go on and on with that. You need to write a book. You know, you need to go ahead and do that, make that happen. But now COVID hits.
Yes. This is COVID hits. And I'm going to tell you how the Lord works. When I tell you Lord is always 5 steps ahead of the enemy, he's always 5 steps ahead. So the week before, you know, I go to the hospital because my blood is thick, right? And something was wrong. Again, the only time I go is when I say I don't feel right. And Tavada's like, you sure you need to go? I said, I'm telling you, I need to go to the hospital. I don't feel right. I had just left Pastor Chris, too. Right. I don't feel right. Go there. They check my blood. 0. He said, your blood is 0 right now. It's supposed to be between 2.5 and 3.5. I said, oh. He was like, so they do the EKG, CT, and all that other stuff. They thought it was something wrong with my heart, but it come to find out I had a small blood clot.
Again.
So I'm in the hospital. They sent me to Athens, and they put me on the blood thinners, get my blood thin. And it's only supposed to be between 2.5 and 3.5. They let me out that week, but when they let me out, my blood level was at 4.7, way too thin than what it need to be. But you'll listen when I understand when I tell you God is always 5 steps ahead. The next couple of days, you guys had called me, you were calling me, and I think Pastor Ben called me. I was like, man, I don't feel right. I said, something ain't right with me. I had a headache that was so bad, and I hadn't been nowhere, hadn't been around nobody. Headache so bad I couldn't lift my head. And it was there for 3 days. So I went to the hospital again because I couldn't my head. And they gave me some headache medicine. It worked for like a second, then the headache came back. And it wasn't working anymore, my head. So my wife was like, I laid on the couch in the living room, completely didn't move. I didn't eat, wasn't hungry, couldn't lift my head, couldn't do anything. So like the next couple of days, Pastor Ben calls me again. I said, man, something ain't right with my body. He's like, you think you got it? I said, I might have it. I don't know. I said, I don't know where I could have got it from. The only place I was the hospital.
Meaning COVID.
Yeah, COVID, meaning COVID. Mm-hmm. So, he prays, Pastor Chris prays, you guys pray. Then I lay down. The next couple of minutes, I just start throwing up. I run to the bathroom, start throwing up. So, throwing up. After that's over, get myself back together. The headache's going. So I'm like, maybe that's what I need to do to throw up to get the headaches going. But as I lay down that night, I said, yeah, the headache's going. Next morning I get up. I cannot breathe. Like I couldn't walk from my bed to the bathroom. Mm. It was that far. Like I literally, when I say I couldn't breathe, I couldn't breathe. Like I was like, babe, yeah, I can't breathe at all. So I just laid there for a whole day. Like I didn't even want to go to the bathroom because if I get up, it was too much. Even if I put my clothes on, it was too much. I couldn't breathe. Mm. Tried to take a shower, couldn't breathe in the shower. Mm. So I told her, I said, the next day, if I still feel like this, I'm gonna just go ahead and go. I think I woke up a Saturday morning and said, I'm going to the hospital. I can't take it anymore. My son Timothy drops me off, bless. So Timothy drops me off, and Tavada was sick at the time too, which is wild. Mm. Some of her symptoms wasn't like mine, but he dropped me off at the hospital. They wouldn't let him come in. So they picked me up in a wheelchair from there because I was like, if I try to walk from there to the door, I ain't going to make it because I can't breathe. Right. So they wheeled me in right away, take temperature, all this. I didn't have a temperature, mind you. Mm. Wheel me in, take my stuff, and take me directly back. CT scan again. They always first CT scan. He comes back and he says, you have double pneumonia in both of your lungs. I was like, what? Mm. I said, where I been to have double pneumonia? And I was like, he said, your oxygen is way, 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 way too low. So they leave me in the emergency room. Then they come back around. This is the time I still have my cell phone. So they put me in a room. They come in the room and they start doing these tests. They test for COVID and all this other stuff. Then they went out. So I called and talked to the Nevada for a second. Yeah, they said they tested for COVID. And I tell her I'll talk to her later on. Hung the phone up. Man, they came in this room. And when I say they moved me, they was like, you test positive. We got to move you right now. So they moved me to this air filter room or whatever. Mm. And then they moved me to the air filter room. But they had me on oxygen. They had me on this mask. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll tell Devada later on. But then this other doctor's coming. And he said, look, I'm here to tell you that if we don't get you on this ventilator right now, you're going to die. Mm. I'm like, what? Right now. Listen to what I'm telling you. If you don't get on it, you're going to die. I'm like, well, the people on the ventilator is dying. What you talking about? Mm-hmm. He's like, we got to get you on there right now. So I didn't get a chance to call my wife back. I didn't know what a ventilator was. I still thought I'd be ever, So I signed the papers. Okay. No, like they rush you. They don't give you a chance to think about it. When I wake up, I'm on a ventilator, but I'm in a induced coma. Like, can't talk to nobody. You can't open your eyes. You can't open your mouth. Can't talk to nobody. All you can do is hear, and that's it. So I'm on this ventilator, and I can hear. This is how special God is. I can hear somebody. I can hear a nurse praying for me, talking about God, help me take care of them the best way you see fit, God. I'm like, it's amazing who God puts you around you, even when you think you're alone. So she's praying for me. They moved me to ICU. Man, this time I'm tired of ICU. They moved me to ICU, and I can hear it. And I don't know who it was, but they had the TV on in ICU. So I can't talk, see, or do anything, but I can hear. So they leave the TV on CNN. And all I kept hearing is COVID-19.
Right.
This is when COVID-19 first came out. Right. And they keep saying, and the total for black deaths is just
bad news.
Bad news. That's all they kept saying. And people were dying every day on the ventilator. Just dying. And this is what I'm hearing every day, all day while I'm under. I'm like, and you can feel nurses come in and they just kind of flip you and throw you either way. You can't, and I can't move my body like to a extent they had to flip you on your stomach 2 days, flip you on your side 2 days. And man, when I tell you they flipped me on my stomach, that was the worst pain I've ever felt. Because it's like you're abnormal how you sleep. And I'm like, oh my gosh, God, what is going on? And I said, okay, God, why is this happening to me again? What is it with my life that this stuff keeps happening to me? And I was like, and at this time, and I'm not going to lie, just like Paul, regular people, I was scared. Yeah. I was in fear at the time. And I didn't know what to do. Couldn't talk to nobody. Couldn't hear it. Nobody could talk to me. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know what to do. And then this is when I really thought I was going. It was a nurse that came in, and I think I don't know if she was like lotioning down my body. I said, this must be it. Because she ain't saying nothing, and they bringing all this stuff in. I said, I must be done for. At this point, I think I'm going to die. I said, I'm not getting better. He said it only take a couple of days. This is what he's telling me, but I'm still on this ventilator, and they still doing this and that. And I'm like, oh. So at this point, I begin reciting, because I can't talk, reciting Psalms 23 in my mind the whole time through the shadow of the valley of death. I kept saying, okay, God, you said you'll be with me in the shadow of the valley of the death. And all of a sudden, just hear this voice that says, do you trust me? And I was like, yeah, I trust you. No, do you trust me? Yes, I trust you. Then let me have my way. So I was like, all right, you got it, God. It ain't nothing I can do anyway. Ain't like I can move, talk, or do anything else. And I was like, okay, Fear, you got to get in the back seat. I'm in the passenger and God is driving.
But see, that's good. Just quickly, even though you couldn't do anything, he asked you, he's like, do you trust me? Which means even though you couldn't talk, couldn't move, you couldn't do nothing about the situation physically, it's like God was letting you know you still got a choice. Are you going to trust me? You know, and what you didn't know then, you know now. But Ben and I and Brother Linford and Kevin, we were praying every night. You know, Ben called me. I was like, man, I think we need to just pray, not just for you, but for the whole COVID situation. Because like you said, that's when it first hit. And everybody was fearful. Everybody was scared. And everybody was just looking, just kind of deer with headlights. Look, like, what is going on in the world? And God put it on Ben's heart to say, man, we need to pray every night. And we started praying every single night. And you were definitely one of the people we pray for every day.
And I appreciate it. I'm telling you, God always puts the right people around you. And he always knows what's going on. And I was like, okay. He can't hear my voice, but he can hear my heart. So that's all I did was recite that Psalms 23 all day, every day. And at that point, I said, I trust you so much. I'm like, hey, if this is it, I know where I'm going. That's
Amen.
it.
Amen.
So either way. So, I kept hearing the people come back and forth. And I don't know, my wife said that they changed the television to TBN. But my wife said the nurse called her and said it was somehow, she said, I couldn't talk or anything. She said, but I put my hands up like a Bible. And she knew to change the channel so where I could hear the word.
Wow.
And then from when she changed that channel, when I tell you when she changed that channel, this was probably like my fourth day. Things started dramatically changing. Like,
come on, man.
When I tell you start dramatically changing, I could start moving. I was moving because I couldn't move before. My fingers, I can feel my feet moving. And then my eyes, I couldn't see, but I blur. I could open up enough, and I could hear. Man, I can tell you this. I was hearing TD Jakes, Pastor Gray, all of them, like constantly. Steve Ferg, all of them, and it was just constantly going through my ears. And every day I got stronger. So it was Passover. It was Good Friday. It was Thursday. And I could, in there, when you're under, you can't really tell the time of the day. I didn't know, man. It seemed like it was light all the time, so I didn't know what the day was.
Right.
And then, Good Friday, he came in, he said, you're doing so well, we're ready to take you off the ventilator. He said, I'm here to tell you, you're the fastest and first person that ever been on a ventilator this short amount of time. He said, you came in here after everybody, and they're still on a ventilator, but you're not. And when he first took me off, right, they left everything in, but I almost had a panic attack like I couldn't breathe. And so the nurse, I pressed the button. I can't breathe. So they came and put the fan on me, and then he said, oh, no wonder they had the machine on something wrong. He said, here you go. He took it out and put the mask on, and I had this big scar from across here because the ventilator, when they pulled the tubes out of my mouth. But that day, that song, I woke up, you're a good, good father. That's all I heard. Kept hearing. And all I can think about is my son, because he sings that song all the time. My oldest son, since he's a praise and worship lips, I said, oh, man, it sounds just like him. So, but I kept hearing it. And I tell you something, and I was like, okay, he woke me up on Good Friday, because we know Sunday is his day.
Come on.
Sunday is his resurrection day.
Come on.
And I said, I'm telling you, when he never leaves you or forsakes you, and I understand the shadow of the valley of the death, and I thank him for the time that I was under there, because it brought me even closer to him.
Yes.
And it reminds you back to all my David moments, my Goliaths.
Yes.
That was my Goliath moment, but everything else I had been through was building me up for that moment.
Yes.
And it was just amazing to me. And like a couple of days, they sent me home with no rehab. And I wasn't walking, but they was like, we're going to let you go ahead, go home. They like, all the nurses and the doctor, everybody was coming around. We're so glad. We didn't think you were going to make it. I'm like, I say, hey, God has the last word.
Last word, since you said that. So appropriate. Because we've been going for a while, but and we can do this on and on. I mean, I asked you Wednesday, why do you think God has allowed you to go through all this stuff? And I remember when I asked you, you were like, man, I don't know. That's something to think about. Has God given you any revelation since then, or you have any other insight?
My only insight when he showed me is just to give him the glory. Hey, Amen. We suffer for Christ. Hey, if he suffered, why wouldn't we suffer?
Amen.
But at the end of it, as long as we know we suffer for him and believe in him. Because a lot of times, in today's day in church, people act like they're not supposed to go through anything. Right. They think it's all supposed to be peachy keen, but it's not.
Right.
If our king suffered, why wouldn't we suffer?
Right.
And I just equated to this. The enemy knows exactly what I'm supposed to do. So any way he tries to stop me, that's what he's trying to do. But I know who I got on my back. And I know, hey, it's not going to be my time till God says it's my time.
End on this. Proverbs 18:21. Jesse mentioned being underneath COVID and hearing the news, first CNN report nothing but bad, and then God miraculously allowing that nurse to change the TV to TBN and things got better. Proverbs 18:21, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it will eat the fruit thereof. In other words, if you want life, speak life. Put that into your system, put that into your mind, put that into your heart. But if all you rehearse is death, then that's what's coming. And I'm not necessarily talking about losing your life literally, but just destruction and just negativity and relationships going awry and just everything going wrong. If that's what you're speaking, that's what you're going to get. Because I really was just amazed at that difference once you started hearing the word.
Faith comes by hearing the word, right?
Amen. Bro, thank you for
having me, bro.
Thank you, man. This is amazing. I'm honored and love you, bro. And
love you, bro.
Keep on holding on.
Yes, we still got a lot of work to do.
A whole lot of work to do. Thank you for tuning in to the Straight Talk with Pastor Patch podcast. I'm Pastor Carlton McDuffie, a.k.a. Pastor Patch, a.k.a. Great Patch. You have a wonderful day. Christ is Lord. One love. Tune in to my, you can always stay connected to my social media accounts through my new website, carltonmcduffie.com. There you can click to Facebook and Instagram and all that good stuff, Twitter. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Straight Talk with Pastor Patch. In Jesus' name. Thank you guys. One love.